They're such a recognizable icon, and people love them. And just the way people respond to the horses when they see them, it just kind of drives you to keep going with it.
Meet the woman responsible for raising some of the nation's most iconic draft horses, the Budweiser Clydesdales. Today we're in Boonville, Missouri to visit Amy Trout, who's trained Budweiser Clydesdales for the past 17 years. Hi!
I'm Amy Trout.
I'm Margie. Amy is a veteran on the Clydesdale team, but her love for animals started well before that.
My family had a small farm, and my dad wanted to kind of farm with horses. And so my dad really didn't know much about draft horses, so he actually went to Iowa and took a class on how to drive horses.
Her father brought the knowledge home to Virginia. The family purchased their own draft horses and started traveling to horse shows, igniting Amy's passion.
So I remember very distinctly as a kid being at the West Virginia State Fair and saw a 6-horse hitch of Belgians there that was run by Dick Sparrow. And it was really kind of one of those aha moments in my life where I just thought it was one of the neatest things.
Amy put her aha moment on the back burner for a bit. She went to North Dakota State University and graduated with an animal science degree. Then she headed home to teach high school, becoming an FFA advisor.
And then I just decided it was time to switch gears a little bit. I really wanted to work with animals, not necessarily children. And so the opportunity came to start working for Budweiser. And so here I am almost 17 years later. And it's been a pretty cool ride.
Amy went through the lengthy training to become a hitch driver. She learned how to handle 12 tons of wagon and horses and obtained a CDL license to travel the country. She was on the San Antonio hitch for several years and even went to China with the team. Now she's the supervisor of Grant's Farm in St. Louis, where she trains the next generation of Clydesdales.
You know, when we get a 6-month-old baby at Grant's Farm and they go through our whole training process, they go on to Merrimack, New Hampshire, and they're broke to drive the wagon. For us, the success is when we see them on the big screen one day and they're parading down Pasadena, California for the New Year's Day parade, or maybe they're going around Busch Stadium for opening day. So when we see our boys that we've invested so much time and so much energy into be successful and make the final cut, man, that just makes you feel good.
Amy invited me out to Warm Springs Ranch, a couple hours west of Grant's Farm. This is the breeding facility for the Clydesdales and is home to more than 70 animals, ranging from foals to stallions. So who do we have here?
This is Lois. She was born in 2011, and hiding down behind her is her little baby. Mm-hmm. This is Hennon. He was just born on April 3rd of this year, so just a few weeks old. Mm-hmm. He may be a little camera shy. We're going to have to break him of that habit here. Yeah. So this is kind of where the Budweiser Clydesdale begins, here, Warm Springs Ranch.
How much weight has he put on since he was born? I mean, if you had to guess at what's average.
So our babies normally average around 150 pounds. He was a little heavier than the normal size Clydesdale, so he's probably already put on a good 20 to 30 pounds. Mm-hmm. And interestingly, as just being a few weeks old now, by the time he comes to Grant's Farm at 6 months of age, he's going to be pushing 600 or 700 pounds.
Wow.
So they've got a lot of growing to do in the next few months. Mom's milk is very nutritious, and they're going to get outside in these beautiful rolling pastures and start nibbling on some grass here pretty soon, and they're going to take off like a rocket.
And they wean at what age?
About 6 months.
Okay, and that's when they go to Grant's Farm.
That's when they get their first little trailer ride to Grant's Farm. Okay. And that's when school begins for these little guys. Mm-hmm. So he's got the next few months to kind of hang out here and just be a baby and grow up with his buddies, and then we're going to start teaching them some manners, teaching them how to lead, load on and off a trailer, all the social graces that a Budweiser Clydesdale needs to learn, they're going to learn at Grant's Farm. But it's important to see where they begin, and that's right here at Warm Springs Ranch.
Mm-hmm. Long legs.
Long legs, yes. He's going to be a big boy, and his dad's here on property as well, so we'll give you a sneak peek of what he looks like.
Mom is super calm for us being in here with her baby right here, who's obviously, the baby's a little worried, right?
Yeah, baby's just running around, but that's kind of how they are. But Mom was born in this barn as well, and so she's she's certainly one of our nicest mares. She's got a nice future as a brood mare for us. And she's got the perfect markings that we're looking for a Budweiser Clydesdale.
Can you describe to me what the perfect markings are?
Absolutely. So we'll start with this blaze down the center of the face. We've got this nice, beautiful dark bay body. We've got a black mane and tail, and then of course the 4 white legs. And even though he's a little light colored, a lot of that's just baby hair, but we can already tell that he has the right markings as well. We've got the beautiful blaze, the 4 white legs. When he sheds that baby coat, there's going to be a beautiful bay color underneath of that. And he's already got the start of the black mane and tail. So you've got a lot of growing to do, little guy. You're so cute.
A lot of filling out, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All of the mares foal here, and experts keep track of dates and records in this on-site lab. Necessary steps to ensure the animals get the best care possible.
It's not like your typical cattle ranch or something where the baby might be born and you find it the next day. Like everybody knows.
Everybody
this is
knows
a really
what's
big
coming.
deal.
Yep,
Yeah.
he's got alarms that are set to trigger on his phone to let him know that a mare is foaling, and so these guys have all the tools here they need to run this farm successfully, and they do a great job.
Awesome.
Part of that care is a little TLC with plenty of food and lush pastures for the Clydesdales to explore. My tour of this gorgeous ranch next.
And later, I'll meet the star of the show. Stan is the main man in one of the Budweiser commercials. Hear his Clydesdale tale.
Which country has the highest Clydesdale ownership? A. Canada, B. the United States, C. Scotland, or D. Australia? The answer brought to you by Mahindra when we return. The U.S. has the largest number of Clydesdales. There are about 600 new Clydesdales that are registered in the U.S. every year. Brought to you by Mahindra, the #1 selling tractor in the world.
Warm Springs Ranch welcomes visitors with 3 tall letters, taken from the first-generation Budweiser sign that sat high up on the St. Louis Brewery packing plant. WSR is a 300-acre farm, and its rolling hills and pristine white fences make it a pretty good place for a horse to grow up.
So these are yearlings, but how long will it take before you breed them?
So when they're kind of in their 3rd year, towards the end of their 3rd year, they'll get bred. And so then they'll have their first baby by the time they're kind of on the late side of 4. And, you know, that's kind of critical time because these girls are still growing themselves as well. So they've got a lot of energy put into growing a foal plus finishing growing themselves. So you certainly don't want to breed them too early.
How many babies would one of these typical mares have?
Well, ideally we'd like for them to have a foal a year, but that's not necessarily realistic. So any of the mares that could have, I'd say 5 to 6 foals would be doing really well, but we have had some that have had way more than that. So if they don't have any complications and they can be rebred right away, they can certainly have more foals for us. But sometimes, you know, we just have to give them a year off if that's what they need.
All the animals here have a purpose, including some up-and-coming studs who will father future hitch horses.
It's important for us to keep fresh genetics coming into our herd, and so the colt on the left over here we actually purchased from another breeder out of Canada, and so his genetics are not related to any of the mares on the property, so it's a good potential, you know, for us to bring some fresh genetics in, whereas the guy on the right came from our breeding program, so we'd be very limited on who we could breed them to because our mare herd is so closely related.
Right.
So anyway, it's awesome to bring a potential new stallion in. So hopefully a few years from now we'll have his first breeding season, and then it'll take another year to figure out if we did it right by keeping him or not before we see what he produces.
Yeah.
But he certainly has a nice look about him.
He does. Watching him run around here is a cool thing.
He's a little excited, yeah.
Amy and I ride out on the gator to a new batch of foals who run up to us, curiously cautious.
So who are we visiting in here?
So this is the future of the Budweiser Clydesdales right here. So these little guys have kind of graduated from being in the barn all the time. Now they're out in the small pasture with their moms in a little social group of Clydesdales that are about the same age, these little guys. And like this little guy, see the little white on his face? I mean, that's not like ideal.
On
but,
the side?
Yeah, but like we're not going to kick him out of the program for that. You know,
Okay.
he's still got a good future, good potential future with the Clydesdales. So you put a bridle on his head, you wouldn't even notice that.
He may be young, but he's impressively tall. Amy explains the diet that keeps him happy and healthy.
So this is an example of that really good quality Timothy hay I was talking about. This is second cutting hay that we get from Stanley out of Eden, Idaho. And it's not only here for our mares and at Grant's Farm, but we actually have this hay drop shipped to every single location that our hitches perform. So if our hitches are down in Florida, if they're up in Maine, Montana, you name it, we get the same quality of hay shipped to every location. And that really helps with the consistency of their diet. It reduces the chances of colic and some of the other health program. It was an expense to do this, but it was the right thing to do for our horses, and keeping their diet consistent throughout the traveling times is really important.
Yeah. I mean, it's important for me, so I can only imagine how important it is.
Right.
Yeah. You spend a lot of time on the road. It's hard on a person.
Traveling is
hard on a
stressful.
horse.
It's stressful, but keeping that diet consistent, so pairing this with the Purina nutrition that we're feeding now has really improved the overall health of our Clydesdales.
The Budweiser Clydesdales are the envy of the equine world, but it takes a lot to make it from barn to hitch. Amy explains the process next.
Syngenta, celebrating the next generation of women rooted in ag.
Hi, my name is Tara. I'm 27 years old and I'm a fifth-generation farmer from the Sacramento River Delta. 6 years ago, my dad was in a terrible farming accident. That's when I knew I needed to move home to help work on the family farm. He told me he would support me being a farmer, but that he didn't want me to farm corn. So I was on the search for my own crop. After a little work, I decided I was going to plant wine grapes. This past April, I planted 50 acres of Sauvignon Blanc. My dad's perseverance in the face of his accident is why he inspires me to be rooted in ag.
Meet other Rooted in Ag spotlights at syngentathrive.com/FarmHer. Shining the light on women who play an important role in agriculture. You're watching FarmHer, proudly presented by Syngenta, Rooted in Ag. Also brought to you by Mahindra, the #1 selling tractor in the world. Nationwide, the #1 farm insurer in the U.S., and RFD-TV.
Clydesdales are the quintessential draft horse and have been a part of the Anheuser-Busch team for more than 80 years. In April 1933, August A. Bush's two sons surprised their father with a 6-horse Clydesdale hitch to commemorate the repeal of prohibition of beer. Today, Amy is one of the many responsible for getting these iconic horses ready to join the hitch.
So at Grant's Farm, what we do with our training program is, because we have so many horses there and they're in different years of training, and so we kind of have to have a system in place to kind of keep track of how they're doing. So we have a really simple scale there. We go from 1 to 5, and every time we do something with the horses, maybe it's give them a bath, maybe the farrier came for a visit, they get a score. And so 1 means that they're pretty naughty, and a 5 means that they're a perfect gelding. And so before they can graduate from Grant's Farm, which we call our prep school, before they can graduate there and go on to the next phase of training, we want them to be a 5 in every single category. So that means they stand for the farrier, they stand for the vet, they load on and off the trailer. And if we were going to do something like this and and have some people standing around, well, I expect them to stand still and not be moving all over the place. So my crew at Grant's Farm, they just do a fantastic job working with the young horses. It takes a lot of patience, a lot of time to kind of get them to come around to your way of thinking. And so for a stallion, think about this, most stallions don't have as great of manners as they do. So we'll attribute a little bit of that to his training at Grant's Farm.
Once these stallions graduate and join a Budweiser hitch, they become experienced travelers.
So the Budweiser Clydesdales travel throughout the country for up to 10 months a year. So this is what they ride in?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of our semis, and granted, this is a spare semi, but it's road ready. It takes 3 semis to move the horses around. So it's only 8 horses hooked up to the wagon at a time, but they actually travel with 10 horses. So that way they always have some extras and some spares. And so 2 of the tractor trailers will carry the horses, and then the third trailer would actually carry the harness, the wagon, and other other miscellaneous equipment. So underneath of this open door, there's actually a ramp that we can pull out, and it actually goes either set on this side, or we can open the other door and set it on the other side, so we can load horses from either side.
Okay.
And then the horses all ride facing forward in the trailer. There's actually going to be a camera up in the front, and so the driver can actually monitor the horses during the trip. They're actually air rides, so it gives the horses a nice smooth ride in the trailer. When we open up all the windows and these trailers are moving 65, 70 miles down the highway, actually plenty of air circulating through there for them. Our trailers that are on the road, like I said, this is a spare, but the ones that are on the road will actually have fans mounted above them, so if they get stuck in traffic or whatever, they can kick those on so the horses are nice and cool. You know, we don't go more than 500 miles a day, and the horses never stay overnight in these trailers. They always come off into some type of a box stall.
The Clydesdales are treated like royalty, whether riding down the road, training at Grant's farm, or even starring in a commercial. Meet Stan, one of the most well-known Clydesdales, next.
Hi, I'm Erin.
I'm Joanna.
I'm Gloria.
I'm Deb.
I'm Charlene.
I'm Melissa.
I'm Caitlin, and I'm a FarmHer.
And I'm a FarmHer.
If you know of an outstanding female farmer or rancher who should be featured on the program, go to RFD-TV.com and click on the FarmHer icon and fill out the entry form. FarmHer, brought to you by Mahindra. FarmHer is brought to you by Nationwide, the #1 farm insurer in the U.S.
Strength, pride, tradition. For centuries, the Clydesdale has been known as a special breed.
Budweiser Clydesdales first appeared in the Super Bowl in 1986, kicking off a tradition that's led to dozens of commercials. From the big game to the big screen, these majestic animals have become stars, including Stan.
Let me tell you a story about a beer rooted in the heart of America.
So our commercial beer country, he was featured with a couple of his buddies traveling across the country. And so I think he has a bright future in
Television?
Yes, absolutely.
In the entertainment industry?
Yeah.
How old did you say he was?
He's 5.
Okay. Well, how much, so he's fully grown, he's an adult male.
Actually, these guys can grow until they're 6 or 7. So he's probably not going to grow a ton more, you know, maybe squeeze another half an inch of height out of him. He's already pretty full as far as his body condition goes. But a lot of times these giant breeds of horses, you know, they don't mature until they're 6 or 7.
Okay. And how much does Stan eat a day? Like, how much does a typical 5-year-old horse eat a day?
So we have a great partnership with Purina, and so we use them in coordinating our nutrition program, and we have a great partnership with Stanley Hay. So because Stan already has a lot of body condition, he doesn't really require a lot of concentrate, so he's probably only getting a couple pounds of grain a day. But he's going to eat about 2% of his weight in hay alone. So he's already over 2,000 pounds. So that's quite a bit of hay. The hay really makes up a majority of their diet.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of hay.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the size of the hay truck that must come in here.
It comes in by the semi-load.
Yeah.
And so he is virtually the perfect marked Budweiser Clydesdale. He just looks spectacular. And he's got a great personality. We use him for a lot of these types of meet and greets. He's just been a pleasure to work with from day one. He came to Grant's Farm when he was 6 months of age and went through our entire training program and just smoked through it. He was one of the young horses that we were actually able to use for more mature things that we would use for, you know, more mature experienced horses for. We were able to use him as a 3-year-old, which was pretty spectacular.
Spectacular is a beautiful way to describe these animals. The Clydesdales may be a symbol of the Budweiser beer, but to Amy, they're much more.
It's working with these great animals, but it's also how people interact with the animals. And even you guys, when you walked in, it was just like you could see it on your faces. You're excited, right? And that's the way people are when we interact with them, you know, every day. And how lucky are we to have a job like that where you can work with those animals that have that kind of impact on people. That's pretty cool.
Amy devotes her life to these gentle giants, guiding them through training and showing them off to the world. An elite job for an elite team of horses, with a home unlike any other in the rolling hills of Missouri.
From the rivers of Georgia to the coast of Maine, take FarmHer with you on your day-to-day journey. You can find accessories, apparel, and even office supplies at www.farmher.com. Next week on FarmHer.
More and more people are wanting to know where their food's coming from and caring about supporting a local food system.
Experience the life of wool as I take you inside Nez and Scott Farm, where the animals clothe the people.
And my favorite, the Budweiser Clydesdales with Doug Bushlow and Todd Rademacher at the lines. And there's April, the dog, the Dalmatian. She's celebrating her 3rd birthday this week. She's not afraid to ride down those big cases of beer.
Because you deserve what every individual should enjoy regularly. In reverse, remember every soldier in every war deserves unlimited Budweiser.
Well, yeah, cheers to that too.